Do you know who the richest man in the history of the world is? Well, it's not Jeff Bezos, it's not Bill Gates, and no, it's not Rockefeller either. Many historians believe it was Mansa Musa, a Muslim African king who ruled the ancient Malian Empire. That's right, Mali, a country known today for coups, corruption, poverty and armed groups, was once a global center of knowledge, trade and gold that scholars, merchants and kings from all over the world would dream of visiting. Mansa Musa was born in 1280. Born into royalty, he inherited and expanded the Malian Empire, annexing 24 cities. Mansa, which means Sultan in the native language of Mandinka, gained control of land stretching 2,000 miles, from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to modern-day parts of Niger, Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea and Ivory Coast. The land had a lot of gold, which back then was the world's currency. According to the British Museum, Mansa Musa controlled half the world's gold during the 14th century. To put it in perspective, that means he was worth an estimated $400 billion. Twice as much as Jeff Bezos, whose $200 billion mind-boggles the world. Musas Conquest, piety, wealth and magnanimous generosity would become well known across the world when he embarked on a legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. From 1324 to 1325, the West African king set out to fulfill one of the 5 main pillars of Islam, the pilgrimage to Mecca. His journey stretched 4,000 miles to the Hejaz region, home to Mecca and Medina. An entourage of 60,000 people accompanied him, including the royal court, soldiers, merchants, entertainers, and 12,000 servants. Vast herds of sheep and goats also accompanied the entourage necessary for food, and thousands of camels also joined, carrying tons of gold. Many of Musa's entourage were said to be dressed in gold brocade and rocking Persian silk, a moving city carving a historic journey through the Sahara Desert, stretching as far as the eye could see. So just think about this for a second, yeah? This was a real Wakanda moment, more epic than any Marvel or Beyonce video out there. Musa was so generous and wealthy that he built a mosque every Friday on his journey. Before his arrival to Mecca and Medina, Musa traveled through Egypt for 3 months. Upon his arrival, he was received by the Mamluk Sultan al-Malik al-Nasir. Musa refused to follow protocol and bend his knee in front of the Sultan, claiming that he would only kneel in front of God. What he refused in protocol, he offered in wealth, giving a lot of gold to the Mamluks who extended their hospitality. During his stay, Musa distributed gold to the markets and local population as well. Egyptians were chanting the name of the Malian leader 12 years after his departure from Cairo, a phenomenon witnessed by historian Shibib al-Omari, who said that Musa, quote, flooded Cairo with kindness. But his generosity tipped the balance so much that he created a gold crash in Cairo that lasted for more than a decade. Musa gave out so much gold that it practically made it worthless. It was so bad, it is believed that when Musa returned, he borrowed back his gold with a ridiculously inflated price, just to help Egypt to get back on its feet. Imagine that. You're so kind and give so much that you cause an economic crisis. Musa also had a lot of love for culture, the arts and education. After he visited Mecca and Medina, he brought back with him famous poets, scholars and architects from the Middle East. Musa's journey had given the Malian Empire plenty of recognition, and now it was time to make it the center of the world. He prompted the rise of the golden and ancient city of Timbuktu. He built schools, libraries and mosques, including the Jigerber Mosque, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. He also established a university attracting students and scholars from across the world, making Mali a center for knowledge in Africa. The great king died at the age of 57, leaving the throne to his offspring. But in time, the kingdom broke down into different statelets, and a few centuries later, European adventurers in search of resources, trade routes and slaves would arrive. Today, the great city of Timbuktu is used as an idiom, emphasizing isolation and inaccessibility. And Mali is stigmatized around the world as a den of violence and impoverishment, its great value reduced to a bunch of fighters, coup plotters and foreign colonialists. Yes, Mali is one of the poorest countries in the world and has indeed suffered from years of political instability. But Mali today still boasts a prime-time strategic location. Mali is still rich in gold and other resources like uranium. The capital Bamako is one of the fastest growing cities in Africa, and the country has one of the world's youngest populations, with the average age being 16. Since 2014 and before the COVID pandemic, Mali has consistently had a growth rate of more than 5%. And the tenets of Mali's unique culture and diverse social fabric are still strong. So the cup is half full, not just half empty. So let's not allow colonial tropes to cloud our minds.